Welcome to DIYEasyCrafts.com. Today we're going to take a look at how to build a thin blue line themed fishing rod. Now I've covered almost every aspect of building fishing rods on separate videos, and I'll put links right in the description of this video. So if you want to look up exactly how to wind the guides in place, or how to mount the handles, or how to find the spine, just check out any one of those videos. On this video I'm making a thin blue line themed fishing pole for a friend of mine, a retired New York City police officer. And I really just wanted to highlight what I did to make this particular fishing pole kind of have that thin blue line themed. So I started by just mounting all of the guides with solid black. And this is, nothing fancy here. I tied them off as always. You just run another loop of line, wind it on 4 or 5 times, and you pull the end underneath the existing threads so that the end ends up being, under about 4 or 5 wraps, and then you trim it off with a razor blade. Now I could have done these wraps, in black and then blue and then black, but it would have been really hard to get them even and uniform. So I decided to do the complete wrap in black and then go on top of it and add the thin blue line. And this allows me to visually have the same spacing to the left and to the right of the blue thread, even when I'm reducing the size of the guides, and therefore the amount of threads that are holding on each guide. I can still keep everything pretty uniform. So all I'm doing here is I just, tied off the blue thread, and I'm just beginning to wind it. I'm using a hand winding gadget from CRP. It actually works really nice. And I'm really just taking careful note of how much black thread is to the left. And as I work my way down, I want to stop about 4 or 5 wraps from where it's going to be even. Then I'm going to put another loop of thread through, wrap 4 or 5 times, and I'm going to wrap until both that left side and the right side are even in width. Then I'm going to hold a little pressure on the back of the threads. I'll clip off that blue thread, slide it through the loop, hold tension on it, and then with that loop, I'll pull both ends, and it'll actually just pull that blue thread under about 4 or 5 wraps. It holds it nice and secure until you do the final coating with the resin. And then I just repeated this process for all of the guides. This is a 7.5 foot light spinning rod, so there's a lot of guides, and they get pretty small. But it's not rocket science. Just repeat the exact same process, as you go up the rod. This is one of the smaller guides. Finish the black thread, finish the blue thread, and I'm just tying off the blue thread with the loop, or pulling the blue thread through with the loop. And when you cut it off with the razor blade, don't saw with the razor blade, just push. That way you end up with a little bit less frayed thread. So all of the guides are now done. The next step is going to be to apply some Pro Coat, which is a top coat, onto the threads. Before I do that, I'm just going to add the tip top. Now the tip top just gets applied with a little tip top glue. You heat it up, put it right on the top of the rod, and then I also cut a couple slivers and put it inside the tip of the tip top, or inside the tube of the tip top. Heated that up so that glue melted. And then either with a pair of tweezers or a pair of needle nose pliers, just push that into place, and make sure that it lines up with all of the other guides. Now I'm going to add the label, and this label is very generic. It just says handcrafted by Captain Dan Berg. I use masking tape so that I don't put any fingerprints onto that label, which might show up through the Pro Coat top coat epoxy. The masking tape really just holds the label so I can put it in place, and then I peel that off. You want to make sure that that gets applied without any little bubbles or any little dust underneath it. The other thing that I did to make this a thin blue line themed pole or rod is I went on to Etsy and I searched for American flag with thin blue line, and I ended up with these nice little stickers. I ended up with 3 sheets of them for about $5 in a variety of different sizes. They're just self-adhesive stickers, and I applied one right behind my label. Now it's a little bit thicker than the label, so when I ended up putting the Pro Coat on the threads, and then after I did the threads I also did the labels, you do end up having to do 2 or 3 coats on the on that flag label or that flag sticker. So this is just applying and then making sure that each one of those the threads that are holding each guide in place are completely saturated with the Pro Coat. And now I'm going to start to paint that American flag sticker as well as my label. I've got this in a drying rack that turns slowly, continuously, and I'll let it continue to turn for a full 24 hours until it's completely dry. It prevents any dripping. I use a hair dryer or a heat gun, and this time I'm using a heat gun just to very quickly apply some heat, and it gets rid of any little bubbles. Makes that epoxy super glossy and clear. And this is the finished rod. Nice and simple, thin blue lined theme for a very good friend who's a retired New York City police officer. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I ask that you please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'd like to give you an invite to check us out on the web at DIYEasyCrafts.com. If you're interested in a pole like this, I'll put the item numbers and where I got it all in the description of this video. Check us out on the web at DIYEasyCrafts.com. I've got a whole bunch of other do-it-yourself and how-to videos on there. Thank you very much for watching.